Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you've been following the world of open source for any length of time, there is one name that sits at the very center of everything we do, Linus Torvalds. For over 30 years, Linus has been the steady hand at the wheel. Every few weeks, like clockwork, a new kernel version drops and Linus is there to sign off on it. We've grown so used to his presence that it almost feels like a permanent, unchanging fact of the universe. He is the benevolent dictator for life, or BDFL as the community calls him. But as we all know, life is unpredictable. Even for a project as massive and global as Linux, we have to talk about the what-ifs. What happens if the person at the top can no longer lead? Recently, the Linux kernel quietly gained a new piece of documentation that answers this exact question. Today, we are diving into the break glass in case of emergency plan for the Linux kernel. It's important to clarify right away. Nothing is wrong. Linus hasn't announced retirement and there is no drama behind the scenes. This is simply the sensible thing to do for a project that powers most of the world's servers, smartphones, and even the International Space Station. The document in question was authored by Dan Williams. If that name sounds familiar, it's because he's a long-time Linux kernel maintainer at Intel and has been a key figure in the Linux Foundation's Technical Advisory Board for years. Now, this change doesn't touch a single line of code. You won't see your FPS go up in games or your boot times gets faster because of this. Instead, it adds a short, formal document describing how the project will handle leadership and decision making in an exceptional situation where the lead maintainer Linus becomes unavailable. Essentially, the goal here is continuity, not reform. They aren't trying to change how Linux is made. They are just making sure the factory doesn't stop running if the manager isn't there to open the doors. To understand why this document is a big deal, we have to look at how Linux is managed right now. For decades, Linus Torvalds has acted as the final authority, but he doesn't read every single line of the millions of lines of code added every year. Instead, there are hundreds of maintainers who oversee individual subsystems. For example, there is a guy for the USB drivers, a team for the AMD graphics drivers, and a group for networking. They review the code and then send a pull request to Linus. Until now, this whole system has worked largely on trust, custom and long-standing practice. There was very little written down about what happens at the very top of that pyramid. The newly added text finally puts that implicit understanding into words. It makes it clear that the kernel is not meant to stall or fracture. If one person steps away, the responsibility stays with the existing community using the same process we use today. Before we get into the specific 72-hour plan outlined in the document, I want to take a quick second to invite you to join our community here at Linux Network. We're all about making Linux accessible, testing out the latest gaming performance, and keeping you up to date with the ecosystem. If you find this kind of deep dive helpful, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. It really helps the channel grow and ensures you don't miss my next tutorial or distro review. Alright, back to the contingency plan. This is the meat of the new document. It outlines a concrete response process for incidents. If Linus were to suddenly become unavailable, the document calls for a meeting to be convened within 72 hours. Who attends this meeting? It's not just random people. It involves the maintainers who participated in the most recent Kernel Maintainer Summit. These are the most trusted veteran developers in the project. But what if a summit hasn't happened in a while? The document thought of that too. If no summit has taken place in the past 15 months, the responsibility for calling this meeting falls to the Linux Foundation Technical Advisory Board. This creates a clear failsafe. There is no guessing game, no power vacuum, and no room for corporate takeovers. It ensures that people who actually build Linux are the ones who decide how to move forward. What's perhaps most Linux-like about this is how it was implemented. There was no big press release, no dramatic video. The change was merged directly by Linus into the main kernel tree without fanfare or even a comment. It's just part of the official documentation now. And for those who are worried, remember, this has actually happened before, sort of. Back in 2018, Linus Torvalds took a temporary break to work on his communication style and personal conduct. During that time, Linux 4.18 was released, and if you look at the logs, Greg Krogh-Hartman, the man behind the stable branch, was listed as the author for the release. Development continued without disruption. the world didn't end and your Linux laptop didn't explode. This new document simply formalizes that success so that everyone knows exactly what to do if it happens again, whether it's for a few weeks or permanently. So why does this matter to the average user, the noob or the gamer? It matters because it proves that Linux is mature, is no longer a hobbyist project that depends on the health or presence of just one man. It is a global infrastructure. Knowing that there is a 72-hour backup plan gives companies, developers and users peace of mind. It means the Linux network we all love is protected. Linux is built on the idea of rough consensus and running code. By writing down these rules, the community has ensured that even if the benevolent dictator isn't at his desk, the code will keep running, the updates will keep coming, and the open source revolution will keep moving forward. But what do you think about this move? Do you think Greg Grog Hartman is the natural successor, or should it be a committee? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, I'm Cătălin, and I'll see you in the next one.